All right, so I was gonna make some bullet points, but let's just put the phone down, see where we get. Okay, so a lot of people are stupid. They have this idea in their head of race. There's no race within humanity. Especially if you're a Christian, if you're a Protestant, you can, make of it whatever you want. But if you're a Christian, right? If you're Orthodox, if you're Catholic or, Lutheran or evangelical, reformist, it doesn't matter, right? You can make of it what you will. But at the end of the day, there's no race. You can argue whatever you want because you hate brown people. That's not my problem. That's your problem, right? It's your ancestors who were too weak to gatekeep their country. It is your ancestors who were too weak to put down proper legislation to stop the unwanted people. I'm not going to call them what they want to be called because that's not what they are, right? The Bible is very clear. The Bible doesn't use the term that you want me to use, right? That's new. Doesn't exist in the real world. It's not in the Bible. It's not in the real world. You got the Levites, the Semites, etc., etc., etc. You got all these people. The Judeans are not the same as the Israelites. There's plenty of documents to ponder. Anyway, so let's get it down. There's no race, right? We've got different ethnic groups within humanity, and but it's just no. It's not the same as race. It's not the same as. You've got all these idiots, right? So this is free form. I'm not gonna script anything. I don't give a shit what you think about me, right? Because you are inferior to me. So let's get it down. Look at Africa. It's a continent, right? Let's ignore North Africa due to its influence from Arabia, right? You got the Egyptians, the Tunisians, the Moroccans. You got this influence from outside of the continent because of its close proximity towards it. Look at East Africa compared to West Africa, compared to Middle Africa, compared to Southern Africa, right? Do you see an overlap in IQ ranges? No. Do you see an overlap in cranial displacement? No. Do you see an overlap in nose bridge width and skin tone darkness? Nope. Do you see an overlap in culture? Nope. You don't. There are specific regions that have specific cultures and specific regions that have specific, for the lack of better term, looks, right? But you fucking Americans, you dumb fucking retards, like to call everything black, right? Oh, he's black. Okay. So, me growing up in a different country that isn't filled with idiots and, Judeans wishing to subvert humanity and bring them down to hell with their hellish books and their heresy. I grew up in a different culture than you did, right? You grew up being told you're something and believing it because you're stupid, right? I'm not stupid. I don't listen to the stupid ramblings of some other that tries to put me in a group where I don't belong just because it suits them, right? So me growing up in Europe, in the Netherlands to be specific, okay. Growing up there, seeing Europe, I see it different than these white nationalists see it, right? And the term white nationalist is just, it's a dead term. It doesn't exist anymore, right? You had alt-right, also dead. You had all these things, and it's all dead, right? At the end of the day, it's all dead. Your most white nationalist speaker that you have today's day is Nicholas J. Fuentes. Fuentes. This nigga is a Mexicano. Or whatever the fuck he is. Mexicano or something. I don't know. But he's not white. Spaniards aren't white. Which brings me to the point, right? Growing up, I had never heard of a term as white people being an all-encompassing thing among the European diaspora, right? White people in my country was used as a term to describe the natives, which are mostly Dutch people, right, of Dutch origin, and which is like, Neo-Germanic, maybe even Neo-Franken, if you want to look at the southern tips. White people was never really a thing when I grew up in Europe, right? Neither was black people, right? Because you had Caribbean people like me, African, Caribbean, Latino. You had South American African people. You had African people from Congo, Angola, Nigeria, Ghana, Eritrea, Ethiopia. Right? So you have all these people from distinct, beautiful cultures, right? Being put in their own distinct group. Sure, they're all brown people, they're all foreigners, but they're their own distinct groups, right? In comes America. America has a vested interest in putting people and things into groups. And by putting things and people into groups, it allows them one easy trick. When people are grouped together, it's easier to target due to their so-called sameness. Right? So if you frame everyone from Europe as white, it's easier to lump them all together and call them stupid words like racist, right? Race doesn't even exist. How can you be racist, right? In-group, out-group, that's all it is, right? Shifting the in-group and making it bigger to make it easier to target you. And I know you're the one who's listening and watching, the white guy, right? Because you're the one who's oppressed right now, not me. I can get whatever the fuck I want, do whatever the fuck I want. I can say whatever the fuck I want, right? Because I'm a sad minority. You're oppressed, not me. I'm free, young, wild, and free. So growing up in Europe, we never had this whole encompassing thing as white people, right? The Dutch hate the French because the French are rude. They're rude and, yeah, sure, they have good cuisine, but they're uncivilized animals, right? They have no respect for any rule of law unless it's written in French, right? The Belgian, let's not talk about the Belgian, right? The Belgian, they're barely a country. They're barely people. Let me check my camera before I go on this diatribe. Yeah, we're still filming. 8 minutes. So the Belgian, they're barely people. The Germans. Yeah, sure, alcohol is cheaper in Germany, but the Germans, their language, it sucks ass, right? No one likes the Germans. They suck. They suck at everything. Sometimes they win at football and it makes us hate them even more, right? Sorry, soccer, duh, football. Hand egg, football, American football, duh. Doesn't matter. Growing up in Europe, I have never heard of such weird terms like white people being an all-encompassing thing for everyone European, right? Dutch Europeans look down on the Polacks that escaped the hellhole that is Slavic Europa. They escape it. Again, not editing shit. I don't care what you think. I had a couple of beers. The Polacks escaped Slavic Europe for the Netherlands, for England, etc., etc., etc. Learn the language for the sole purpose of making money to send back home. because their country is in disarray. It's a hellhole. Their economy is in shambles. They have nothing. Nothing but pickles. Nothing but pickles and ya pierdola curva. Curva. That's all they have. Yelling curva. I grew up in a world where I never had to hate white people. I never had to love white people. Right? I had to hate Polacks. I had to hate French people. I had to hate Belgians, English, etc., etc., etc. But in comes America, right? With their, how do I call this? What is it called? The ADL? I think it's the ADL, SPL, all of these organizations that would like to have you dead, put you together in a group, making it easier to just blast all of you, right? And what do you idiots do? You believe it, right? You believe it. You just suck it down. You just suck it down. Because it makes sense, right? We're white, they're black, her-da-der, we're better, they're not, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Someone tried to tell me, who is half Asian, by the way, half Asian, which means he is of zero value to humanity, right? Zero. Trying to tell me that Mexico's issues are ethnic and not geopolitical and otherwise. Ethnic. Okay, let's pretend he was white. Let's pretend for a sec. Let's pretend this man is white. Explain Bulgaria. Explain Hungary, right? These countries that are called white. Bosnia, Serbia, Moldova. All these white countries, right? White countries. Why are they in such shambles, right? But then someone would argue, yeah, the Slavics, they're not really white. Okay. Spaniards are white. Why does Spain, along with Greece and Italy, have the highest teenage unemployment? The highest unemployment. Why do they pay the least amount into the European Union? Why do people from Portugal, why do the Portuguese have to send their people to countries like Luxembourg and Germany to work there, to send money home? Why does Greece not know how to keep an economy running? The birthplace of democracy. Let's pretend for a second that white people do exist, right? Let's pretend for a second that it is in your best interest to be a fucking retard and believe the Judeans and neglect your cultural and ethnic and historical heritage, right? Let's pretend you're just white. What have you done? What have you done personally to aid the glory of white people, right? The Romans built Rome. What have you built? But my grandfather, your grandfather, but what have you built? All you do is sit on the internet and cry like a bitch, like a fucking fag on the internet, crying over brown man this, brown man that, blah, 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 George Floyd, banana man, dancing monkey, boop-de-boop-de-boop. What have you done for white glory? Nothing. Nothing. The best you can do is be a great man, a man of God, a Christian man. Love thy neighbor, build a family. That's the best you can do. There's nothing else you can do. You're not going to change the world by shit posting on Twitter. You're not going to change the world by crying about libs or owning the libs by donating to their abuelita, right? I'm all over the place. So let me get back to the white people don't exist. Spaniards aren't white. Italians aren't white. Greece, not white. Turks would love to be called white, right? But yeah, sure. They have a Caucasian skin tone. But are they white? No, these are the Mediterraneans, right? They live on the Mediterranean Sea. Well, Spain doesn't, I don't care. They're Meds. Meds are not the same as Northern Europeans or Middle Europeans or Eastern Europeans, Slavic, Baltic, etc. You've got all these cultural origins of language. But let's ignore all of that, right? Because in America, it's white versus black. Meanwhile, the enemy within tears you apart from the center. And it takes a brownie to tell you this, right? It takes a brownie to tell you this. Let me look at my clock. 15 minutes. We're still filming. I'm rambling. There's no coherency to this. Just listen and put this in your brain. You're not a white man. What the fuck is going on here? I'm gonna have to edit that out. Maybe. Who knows? I don't care. You're not a white man. You might be a European man, but that doesn't make you white. White doesn't exist. You're either Dutch, German, Swedish, Norwegian, Icelandic, Finnish, Slavic, and even in Slavia, even in the Slavic countries, there's a lot of infighting, right? There's no coherent cohesion within the Slavic countries, right? Let's not pretend. The United Kingdom, it's a kingdom. England, Scotland, is it Ireland and Wales? I don't know and I don't care. But at the end of the day, these people are not the same, right? You see all these fucking losers on the internet right now talk about Anglo-Saxon America. I'm gonna have to use my real British accent, right? Eh? Tell a fucking proper Anglo, yeah? Tell a fucking proper Anglo that he's fucking Saxon, mate. Tell a fucking Anglo in Yorkshire that he's Saxon. You get your fucking teeth kicked in, mate. Mate, you're not gonna fucking... Come on. Let's not fucking twirl around here, right? Anglo-Saxon America. More groupage to easier target and destroy. You have made yourself an easy target just for the sole purpose of being controlled by Judea. El Banco. Huh? El Banco. The media, etc., etc. But hey, I'm just a black dude, right? Not even black, right? Oh, you see skin color, that's the first thing you see. You do not look at cranial displacement. You don't look at nose bridge width. You don't look at a jawline, nothing, right? You don't see because you don't want to see because you're not taught to see. I'm in Mexico right now. You think all Mexicans look the same? You think the mestizos look the same as the Yucatans? No, they don't. The Yucatan Peninsula has a lot of different people, right? Compared to like Guadalajara or Tijuana. A lot of different people. But you don't see it, right? Because not only you don't want to see it, but because you're too stupid to see it. Because you're made to not see it, right? I look at a man and I'm like, damn, this guy's French. And I ask him, where are you from, buddy? He's like, from France. France, bonjour, je m'appelle Jean, je ne sais pas vous français parler anglais, right? Some fucking dude, right? He look at me, I'm like, damn, hey, how you doing, buddy? How you doing? No parli italiano, hey, fucking parli inglese, eh? Right? But you don't see it. I look at a dude in my own home country in Europe, right? I think we're at the 20-minute mark, but I'm making a point. And my points are all over. I look at a dude, and I can just tell he wants to ask me a question. And he goes, tut mir leid, and I'm like, es ist kein Problem, meine Freund. Ich spreche ein bisschen Deutsch, aber nicht viel. Was machst du? Ich suche eine Hurenhaus. Ein Hurenhaus. Ich weiß es nicht. Vielleicht deine Mutter. Right? The Finnish people, they don't look the same as the Swedish do, right? The Swedes don't look the same as Norwegians, right? But you don't see it. You just see white people, oh, glorious white people. While many countries are dying and going to shit, just at the same rate as African countries are. But the whites are greater, right? Because whites have built civilization. No. Romans, Greeks, Germans, British, Dutch, Spaniards, Franks, they have built civilizations. What have other countries done? Except for being conquered by others. There's a reason why most of Slavic Europea speaks Russian as a second language. Have you ever heard someone speak Ukraine? I haven't. I hear them speak Russian. По-русски, блядь. With a little bit of a dialect, right? Maybe an accent. It's different. But have you heard a Ukrainian man speak anything but Russian? A Belarusian? Belarus. Even in Moldova, they speak Russian, right? In Albania, a lot of people still speak Russian. Azerbaijan, Armenia, home of Christendom, right? I'm gonna cut it off here. I'll make a second part to this. I'll watch this back. I'll see what point I forgot to make, and I'll make that point. But heed this call. White people don't exist. Black people don't exist. The same way Asian people don't exist, right? Sure, they are from the Asian continent, the African continent. There's no white continent, right? People from the American continents, they're not European. People from the European continent, they are European, right? But even then, I'm gonna check the time. If we're probably at 25 or 30. We're gonna come back here. Maybe I should do the next follow-up live, and I'll ask some people to ask some questions. But here's the thing. Everything you do and everything you say is the work of the devil, because you're too stupid to see the devil's machina. The little hand behind the curtain, right? Oh, well, I'm being called, they called me racist, they called me this. Why do you think they called you racist? Because they let you believe that there's such a thing as race. Sure, you can discriminate against people of a different ethnic origin. But the term racist, it means nothing. You can't be an ethnicist, right? Doesn't work, right? It doesn't work. I'll leave you with a tidbit. Black Americans, right? All black people in America. Look at the average income. Look at the disparity between Somalians, native naturalized African Americans, Ghanaian Americans, Nigerian Americans, South African Americans. Look at the disparity between their wages, their average yearly wages, and tell me they're all the same. Tell me all Hispanics are the same, right? You got Puerto Rico, Venezuela, Colombia, Guatemala, Belize, Costa Rica. You got Mexico's North America, but you know what it is. You got Mexico. You got Argentina. You got all these countries, right? But these people are all the same? No, they're not. So why should a German and an Italian be the same? You have allowed people to displace your own heritage, right? There's a thing called Pennsylvania Dutch. Every time you call them white people and not Dutch people, you do a disservice to their national, ethnic, and cultural heritage. But you don't care. You don't care because you're not smart enough to care, right? Because you think you got a high IQ because you scored high on an IQ test. But guess what? Let me check the timer. 25 minutes. You're a fucking moron. Society is crumbling to shit because of you. Because you have allowed these usurpers, these subverters, to pit you against your fellow brothers. God has made us all in His image. All of us. Except for the Chinese. They're soulless wretches. But God made us all in His image. The birthplace of humanity, of history, is where the Bible says that the Garden of Eden is, right? It birthed there. Doesn't matter if the first human came from these countries, doesn't matter. The birthplace of humanity is where the Bible claims it is. And the birthplace of written and oral history is there. But tell me how black people this, black people that, white people this, white people that, Asian people this, Asian people that. Tell me how Hispanic people this, Hispanic people that. Tell me. I'd love to hear it. Let me know in the comments. Don't subscribe to my fucking channel. I don't give a shit. But I will live stream. I will live stream once I get my Wi-Fi sorted, because my Wi-Fi is fucked. And I will live stream. Think for yourself. Reclaim your heritage. You think I'm black? I'm not black. My father's from Aruba. My mother's from Curaçao. My mother is Afro-Caribbean. My father is Latino. There is 100 and 1,000 year lineage between me and my ancestors, if not more. There's 1,000 year lineage between you and your ancestor. Do not neglect it just so you can look cool on Twitter. Because people who look like you, newsflash, Italians and Germans don't look the same. But people who look like you, right, are doing well. There's plenty of people who look like you that aren't doing well. Peace out.